Well, earlier we heard that Texas Senator Ted Cruz had called for more armed police officers to be stationed at schools across the United States. Joining me now is someone who agrees with that, conservative radio host Ben Ferguson. Ben, you and I have had a lot of fiery debates over the years about gun control as well. I don't want to have one of those with you because I don't think they ever really achieved very much. And when I watch social media today, everyone on all sides of this debate blowing up emotionally, raging on both sides, ever more entrenched. What I want to try and do is try and get to a place where we can at least agree some things. And I just wonder, you're a guy from Texas, you're a father. When you heard about this, you're a gun owner and you support the Second Amendment, and I fully respect that. But when you heard about this tragedy, what was your sort of gut feeling about this?
I think first it was, why in America do we not protect our children, our most vulnerable and most valuable, by making sure that there's law enforcement at every public school? We protect our president, we protect our senators, we protect our governors, we protect our money at our banks, we protect the jewelry at the jewelry store with armed guards. But we don't protect our children with armed guards.
Yeah, but
we
Ben,
can obviously afford it. America just spent.
Ben, there was an armed guard at the school, and he challenged the shooter before he got in, and he got shot. Well, he got shot and disabled. So there was an armed guard there, there was in the Buffalo supermarket.
Let me finish.
Yeah, but I mean, you know that there was an armed guard, right?
Let me finish. You had two different police officers that were actually shot by this individual yesterday, and you had Border Patrol agents that responded, but you had an open door to that school. And if you have security measures at a school, the way that many private schools do them in the country, they make sure that those schools are locked and that someone can't just randomly come in from the outside. And that's part of the problem. We don't have enough police officers who understand the lockdowns of a school to protect the children from outside individuals trying to get in. And my point is this. We are supposed to be a wealthy nation, just like your country is as well. We just spent $40 billion to Ukraine. The people that, by the way, are yelling about guns right now are the same people demanding we send more guns to Ukraine, which I think is very odd. But we have to do a better job of finding a consensus here and saying, you mentioned earlier and he said some interesting things, the coach of Golden State. A couple years ago, he came out in a very fiery comment saying that he did not want to have armed guards at schools. And then today he comes out with this very fiery statement. There's got to be some compromise where parents can say, okay, we all agree that our children are valuable. And we need to make sure that we have mechanisms and we have a way that we do business every day at these schools to protect these children the same way we have protocols around presidential leaders.
I would agree with you, right? I don't think there's any option other than to protect schools more, given this appalling tragedy and given what happened at Sandy Hook and given the hundreds of school shootings since Sandy Hook. There's got to be more security. But just for the record, there was an armed police guard at this school. It's emerged tonight. And there was an armed guard.
And there was an armed guard at the supermarket. The question is, are they trained?
Let me finish, Ben. There was an armed guard at the supermarket in Buffalo. So armed guards alone are actually not that effective, it turns out. When you're facing a guy with full body armor, with a semi-automatic rifle, who has the ability and advantage of surprise, it's very hard for one armed guard. So what do you do then? Do you then have a number of armed guards at every school? Do you have a whole sort of small army? Do you turn the schools into militarized bases? What do you do?
Again, this is where I have to disagree with you. My father's in law enforcement. And what do you do when you have one police officer and you have a dangerous situation? You immediately call for what? Backup. And then when you are around someone that's a world leader, what do you see? You don't see one Secret Service agent or one police officer. When there are people that you could attack, you have more than one. And that's what we have messed up in this country. We are not valuing the lives of our children to the point where we should say, if you have a large campus, and you listen to the experts that talk about how quickly a police officer can get from one side of the campus to the other, they all tell you the same thing. You do need multiple armed guards because it takes too long for someone to get from one side of the school to the other. That doesn't mean it's militarized.
All right. Look, so you're talking about multiple armed guards. Let's come to the other issue of the age that people are legally allowed to get these high-powered semi-automatic rifles. I don't understand how it can be illegal to get a beer until you're 21 in most states in America, but it's perfectly legal to buy a semi-automatic rifle, or why you can't get a Kinder Surprise chocolate egg anywhere in America because you may choke on a little toy, but you can buy handguns. I don't understand that. Can you explain the logic behind that?
Sure. I think one of the problems you have in this country, and I think you have around the world with lawmakers, is they're consistently inconsistent with actually doing things that make sense. Is it weird that you can buy a gun at 18, but you can't buy a beer until you're 21? Of course it is. Is it weird that you can go serve your country and we'll train you how to become a killer of terrorists around the world, but you can't drink a beer when you come home from that trip? That is insanity. The fact of the matter is, though, it's not an age issue in this country right now. As much as we want to obsess over it, it's a lack of parenting issue in this country that we have. Look at what we see consistently. Look at the man that we're talking about right now. He just turned 18. There were massive warning signs that this person was clearly mentally troubled. He came to an event and he had slashed his own cheeks and said it was fun and he wanted to feel the pain. He had talked about committing heinous crimes and violence. Look at what happened in Buffalo. We know the shooter there threatened to kill people at his school. We have the warning signs. You have a parent and grandmother who had called the police on this individual multiple times. Now, think about that from a parent's perspective.
I agree, but Ben,
when you as a parent try to protect your children and you call 911, that's a cry for help.
I agree, but all you're painting is an even more inexplicable picture as to why these kids, who are clearly mentally ill, you have to be mentally ill to do what they do, mentally ill, are able to just wander into any gun store perfectly legally and buy semi-automatic rifles when they can't get a beer. Look, I've got to leave it there. It's a sad day.
Let me say this, though. Ben, is it going to change if they're at 21? Probably not. That's an arbitrary age is not going to fix this. If we want to fix this problem, we need to, number one, protect the schools. We should have bipartisan support on that. And two, we need to make sure that when law enforcement is called to someone's house from a parent begging for help for a child that clearly having massive problems, that we have mechanisms to stop them from actually doing this.
Yeah. I think you need all of that, and then you need to stop deranged young people being able to legally get assault rifles and semi-automatic rifles. Anyway, Ben, we've got to leave it there. I want to have a constructive, ongoing dialogue about this because it can't go on. America can't just keep waking up to these tragedies. It's just heartbreaking for everybody. You've got another whole series of families now, lives completely destroyed. So at least I'm sure we can agree this cannot go on like it is. Doing nothing cannot be the sensible, humane option. So we've got to keep talking and we've got to find points of consensus. I don't think shouting on either side ever gets anywhere with these debates. So let's, keep talking. Come back again, let's discuss it, and let's see if we can get to points of consensus and try and help things. Good to talk to you.
Totally agree. Thank you.